I struggle to review DJI products for a few reasons. I'm a hobbyist, so I like to build my own quadcopters, drones, whatever you want to call them. I know what has gone into them, and I have certain expectations of what to get out of them. Now, DJI does not market these quadcopters or drones to hobbyists. They market them to everyone. Mostly they market them to film creators, and they are very good for that. And because not everyone buying this sort of thing is a hobbyist, if I say something is bad about it or I'm disappointed with it, then you get a lot of hate for that, because people have shelled out a lot of money for a product like this and they will want to defend it. And there is certainly a lot of DJI fans out there. I'm one of them. I've got two DJI products. I've got this and the Phantom 4. Now, I don't want to take anything away from DJI, what they have managed to do with the Mavic Pro. It's amazing. It really is. The problem is, though, it has fallen short for me personally. Now, I understand that a lot of people are going to get some great use out of the Mavic Pro, but I have one big issue with it, and I don't think that this has been mentioned enough. It certainly wasn't mentioned by anybody when they sent out the test versions of this to certain reviewers. It was dubbed as the best drone in existence, and for me personally it's not, and let me tell you why. It doesn't do 1080p 60 frames per second very well. So I set all this up, I made a video of me doing it and unboxing it and everything. It came today and I got it in the air. Everything was fantastic until I came back and I reviewed the footage. Now, something you need to know about me is recently I have been flying a lot of race quadcopters, race drones, if you aren't into that sort of genre of the hobby. And I record at 1080p in 60 frames per second, and it's something that I just really like. I like how smooth the video looks. And when I looked at the footage back of this, the 1080p 60, I thought was absolutely terrible. There was some aliasing issues, and now that I have flown it and researched aliasing issues, this quadcopter has a problem with 1080p 60. It does 1080p 30 quite nicely. It does 4K at 24 frames per second and 30 frames per second quite nicely. But for some reason, I think it's a limitation of the sensor. They are saying when you use 60 frames per second at 1080p, you get a horrible aliasing effect. It's almost like it's worse than 720p quality, and it's not for me. Therefore, I would say that if you are into aerial photography and want smooth video, because I shoot everything in 60 frames per second, this video is in 60 frames per second, then if you want that, don't get this. Get the Phantom 4. Its quality is just better and it does 1080p 60 perfectly. Or even wait for the Phantom 4 Pro that's coming out, because that does 4K 60. But I kind of feel like this has been missold slightly, and I have had to wait a long time for this to turn up. And I think a lot of people went for this because it had everything that they wanted, and for a lot of people it will have everything that they want. But for me, 1080p 60 is a deal breaker. So I'm not going to be recommending this quadcopter if you are after 1080p 60. But if that doesn't bother you, then again, what DJI have achieved here is astonishing. We have the smallest gimbal in the world. I don't know how they have done it. It is so tiny. The quadcopter is very small. It can almost fit in a pocket. And the controller is very small as well. And it has these sticks here, and the quality of them is very good. And I also like how the phone connects into here. One thing that the reviews didn't mention, which I'm not too keen on, is that the mobile devices don't fit in here very well with a case on. There's no way to adjust that. And I'm not too keen on the way that this works either. I found that with this plugged in, so this sort of sits in this little holder here. It's come out at the moment, which often happens. And that sits through there, and if you pull this out, it can disconnect from your phone. But that didn't really happen to me while I was flying. It's just a small thing. But very disappointed with the 1080p 60 FPS performance. I have to say, that is my first impressions of this. Now, I am going to do a full review of it regardless, because I do think that a lot of people will like this, and I hope that when they bring the Mavic 2 out, they're going to address that, because it's advertised as doing 1080p 60. But it's kind of like when GoPro announced that the Hero 4 would do 1080p 120 frames per second, and the quality of that was terrible as well. But luckily the 60 was okay. The 60 frames per second is unusable in my opinion. So as I say, look out for more videos of the Mavic Pro, because I do have one. But that is my advice to you. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.